Good evening. As promised, I come up with a list of foundation for autistic children and severely autistic children. It will include vocabulary, it will include commands, it will include skills, and it will be very, very important actions. Actions as well. But this is where we're gonna start. And as easy as it sounds, like I told my friend just recently, like you have to teach yes and you have to teach no. But I'm just gonna right now go over everything that the fundamental skills or the primary skills that you need to start teaching your children, whether it's ABA therapists, whether it's other therapists. You may want to ask them to put this in their goals, develop those goals, and keep going. And again, I'm using all of this. I could forget something, but I've been using this since he was 3. He's 13 now. And some of them become like commands. As rude as it sounds, like you know, like for a puppy, there is a command. This is pretty much what works for me. And again, I'm not trying to be rude, but you just basically helping these children to learn something with minimal requirements, because many of them don't talk, many of them don't understand. But if you teach them some of that, so it's more like a command. Anyway, let's start with language basics. Okay, and I'm gonna go over this. So first of all, in ABA, we never teach children the wrong way. We always teach them the right way and the only way. And we teach them and we show them. We don't guess if they know much or whatnot. We have to establish that, and we have to teach them the right way. Any ABA, BCBA will tell you so. We don't even say no. We just say yes, yes, yes. Because when you say no to these children, they don't know what's going on. They get frustrated. You start getting behaviors. So language basis, you're gonna teach them yes and you're gonna teach them no. You teach them yes and no at one command. It's gonna be all one skill, separate from everything else. Okay, and it's not as easy as it sounds, I know that. But you start with yes and no. Why? Because you will be always asking them prompting questions. My child is somewhat verbal, but he does not initiate speech as long as I've been trying to, and he doesn't want to talk, even though he could. So it's always like a prompting questions. Do you want to go to Busch Gardens? Yes or no. Do you want to go water country? Yes or no. I'm always giving an option. I'm also promoting speech, and he already knows what yes and what no is. And that's what you teach. Okay, so next one is we want to teach them all done, whether it's sign language or a verbal language, but all done is very important, as along with the word break. When you teach them, they take breaks, they take them frequently, and that's what you teach them. You teach them the command break, and you teach the command all done. Again, when you start teaching them, or when you teach them, you need to indicate when it's all done. And eventually, since they don't like to learn like anybody else, they need to know how to stop that. And they have to have that tool, and you have to give them that tool so they can tell you all done, or they can point, or they can use speech device if you have one. All done. That means the child does not want to do education anymore. If you don't respect that, you're going to start seeing behaviors. But before, you have to teach them all done, and there's going to be action teaching. This way, when they say all done, you just have to stop, and you're not going to get behaviors. But without them not be able to tell you that they're not wanting, interested, whatnot, this is what happens. This is why you get these behaviors. So you have to give them tools to talk to you, communicate, whether it's pointing, whether it's showing, whether it's saying, but they need to know what all done and what all done actually means. This way, there will be no behaviors. Okay, that's number 2. Okay, next you want to teach them time to work. This is a signal. because they don't know what's happening, and you establish a pattern or a daily routine. This is a command, and you train them time to work, right? So they know they have to get and sit at the table, even if they just play, because you're not going to be teaching them. Sorry, I have these flies. Even if you don't teaching them, let's say, anything, you're just teaching them to work, you would still get them to the table and so they can play. I'm sorry, I'm tired, and this crazy stuff. Okay, but time to work is a signaling command for them that they need to come and sit down at the table or in the chair or whatever, and they will be ready to do something. But you don't start teaching them. This is annoying. You don't start teaching them time to work. You start easy. You say time to work. You bring them to the table, give them a toy, let them play with that toy, get it established first before you start throwing all this stuff in them. But they need to know time to work. That means they have to get to the table, sit down, and then whatever, because at one point they can play, and then you smoothly transition to other things that you actually need to teach them. Okay, got that one? You want to teach them stop. Command stop is very important, because they always have behaviors, whether you know trying to stop their behaviors, or don't want them to do something. Just remembered one other. So, but this is important command for them to know, and that would be stop. Okay, sorry, I'm very tired. Been every day water country, you know. Women in my age shouldn't be doing what I'm doing. Okay, but primarily stop is going to control their behaviors, but you have to teach them words so they know what they're doing. So you're going to just say stop, and then you stop, whether it's hands, whether they're rocking, stop. And so they know that stop is also actually a action. Okay, all right, so that's one. Next one, you want to teach them wait. Wait also is actually a patience. You want to teach them wait for toy, wait for phone, wait. It's a very important command, but it does teaches them patience. This is a phrase that I'm using when I teach my child, and this is a try again. That's a wrong. When they do something wrong, you tell them try again. You don't tell them no, you just say try again. This is ABA, pure as it is. That's why we don't say no, we just say try again. Self-correct, right? So they kind of know they can try again and again and again. And usually if they get upset, sorry, I got this fly, this is how I live now, I hate my life. That's why I'm trying to do something for people that are going to be reading, watching that stuff after I'm gone. Anyway, try again is a very important command. Instead of no, you're going to say try again. Don't ever say no to them. And yes, you want to teach them the right answer. I already said that. Okay. Again, that's a key phrase in ABA. Another one is fix it. Fix it. This is the command. If they're not doing something right, whether it's clothing, whether it's writing, whether it's, you know, matching, sorting, fix it. Okay? You want to use that phrase, and you're going to be using this pretty much for the rest of their lives. And they know, because you can use this as like universal word. They can fix anything, but it has to be simple, 1 or 2 word commands the most, especially if they have a speech impairment, like in my case. Okay, nonverbal is also pretty much the same. Okay, now I have, next command would be say. That's when you teach them words. When you teach them to talk, you say mommy. Say say. you want them to initiate speech. Very important keyword command, okay? Basically means repeat after me. Then I have another one. That would be look at me. Look at me. This is also a phrase action that teaches them what? Eye contact, because you teach them a lot with your body. And that's why when they don't look at you, or if they look and they kind of do sideways, they can still see. But if they don't look at all and you know they don't see it, there's no way you can teach them anything. So you have to teach them to look at you, and that would be an eye contact. That's the primary skill. I've spoken about that before. One other command would be hands down, because they can twirl, they can twist, they can do whatever, sensory. And sometimes when you teach them, it could be distraction factor. So that's why you're gonna teach them action, hands down, put it down like that. I'm sorry. Okay? Hands down, hands down. Like my child does a lot of that lately, because when I teach him something, he wants to put it away, like a cleaning up. Because he knows once he's cleaning it up, it's all done. So very important, hands down. And the last one is clean up. Yes, clean up is important, because clean up is also associated with all done. First you say all done, and then you say clean up. So they know once they're all done, they just need to clean up whatever they did, whether it's toys, whether it's cars, whatnot, And then you can generalize this to clean up your room or clean up your table, whatnot, So yeah, that's a key phrase as well. Okay, now next, you want to teach them, this is more or less educational, and it's going to branch out as you move forward. But what is important? To teach them alphabet, not so much letter sounds, but just ABC, okay? Because they're never going to be able to read by rules. They're going to read by memorizing words. So alphabet is 1, basic shapes is 2, colors, basic colors, maybe 10, is 3. You want to teach them numbers, and then secondary, something you can teach them later, is less or more. Okay, I'll show you. Less or more. Okay, and then you can teach them big or small. That would be that. And you can generalize. Show me, big ball. Show me a little ball. Show me a big bear. Show me a little bear. But yeah, big and small, less and more is called, it's primary, but it's secondary to what I already mentioned, which is alphabet, basic shapes, colors, and numbers. The reason I'm reading, I'm just so tired. I have to give myself some time to think what's important, what I'm using with my own child. Now I'm gonna come back to words. You want to teach them I want. This is very important, probably everything, because this is their needs. I want, and this is just, you're gonna have focus on teaching just that. I want, if they have a little speech, or if they can point, it doesn't matter. You can still teach them I want, and you're gonna show them what do you want, or you teach them what do you want. So even my child doesn't say anything, I just say Brandon, what do you want? Do you want to stay in hotel, or do you want to go to Busch Gardens? He already recognizes names, but he also says, I want Busch Gardens. It's very, very basic, very limited speech, but he's giving me a message, and I can understand what he wants. And he also has to use some speech, because he doesn't have any desire to talk to me whatsoever, even though I told him so. Okay, so I want is very important, because this is their needs. They can communicate their needs, and it will also help you to reduce those behaviors, because they have that tool and they can tell you what they want. And you have to follow that, you have to respect that, and you have to give it to them. This way you will not have those behaviors. We don't have much behaviors, okay? Now, actions. What do you teach them with actions? You want to teach them, this is going to be for the education purposes when you teach them something. Give me. You're going to teach them point, primary. You're going to teach them show me. Show me big, show me small, yeah? You're going to teach them matching. That would be this one. Match. Okay? You're gonna be, these are action words. You're gonna teach them sorting, sort yellows, right? Sorting. You're gonna teach them do this. Now, do this is modeling. When you want them to teach some kind of actions, you just say, do this, do this. Eventually, you can throw in word, touch your nose, touch your ear, touch your head. But you can also try touch my big nose here. Anyway, do this, okay? So we did that. Another one you want to teach them is push. The word push. Push is important, universal. That's for toys. If you have like a toy that makes noise some kind and you want to teach them colors, you want to teach them action push. So push green, push yellow, right? So push word is very important. So between do this and touching, yeah, you can teach them word touch, okay? Because you know, sometimes if they have pain, it's like show me your pain, touch. So okay, skills. You want to teach them these specific primary skills. There will be patterns, number 1, matching, number 2, sorting, number 3, sequence, number 4, and tracing, number 5. Tracing is for writing. It's a fine motor. Okay, and yeah, when you teach them writing, they're gonna be tracing first. So yeah, that's a fundamental writing command. And now I got a few words just here and there. Again, it could be 1 to 2 words. You don't want to use like whole sentences to them at all, because it's hard for them to remember. And when they don't remember or when they don't understand, you start getting behavior. So if it's just one word like command thing, they get it faster and you see less behaviors. But the words typically used are very limited vocabulary. You can later branch out, see how they go. Time to sleep or sleep, okay? And you putting them to sleep so they know the time to sleep. Oh, they have to go to the bathroom, okay? Time to eat or eat, and you're going to be offering food, because many of them cannot tell you. I mean, I'm talking severe autism here right now. I'm always offering my child, like, do you want to eat? Because he cannot tell me I want to eat, okay? But when I say, do you want to eat, he said yes. Eat. So water or drink, like I don't give my child much other than water. So I use word water. Do you want water? But he knows the word drink now. So pick one or the other, whichever, because you may give them juices, whatnot. But it has to be the water or drink. Then we have potty, wash your face, wash your hands. Action word. Brush your teeth. Gonna be using this every day. Brush your teeth, and you start teaching them to brush, and I put some videos on that. Put on, take off, that's for clothing, okay? Read, write, trace, and go, okay? So these are the vocabulary words. Again, it has to be kind of basic. And they may even remember those basic words if they have skills. But I remember when my child did not talk, and I had like a cards that when you flip that card, it changes the mouth movement or the lips. That's why they can still look at you and see. But it just say like when he was not saying anything, he's like steaming right now verbally, right? But back then he couldn't say anything. It was just you know, doing that. And what I did was I taught him to say mommy, mommy. I made that sound from non-functional to functional. He's still steaming a lot verbally, but he can say words too now. So it's just apparently a habit that just would not go away. But then when I say stop, he stops for a little bit, then he resumes his steaming, okay? So I think at this point, I covered everything. Again, each of these skills, it's not as easy as it sounds. It will take some time, actually. And I know how to teach every one of those, but then again, I just don't have a child that would, you know, that I would be able to show you, because my child knows all of this. This is our basic language of communication at this point. But because he can tell me what he wants, we reduce these behaviors drastically. And at the time, he was aggressive towards himself and towards others. So by giving them some speech and some skills and some education, give them what they want, if they can feel confident enough to tell you what they want, and you understand, those behaviors will be only because of medical issues, right? Okay, so I hope that was informative. I think it's one of the most important things. Now the other things are like, how do I teach this or how do I teach that? That's a whole different conversation. It's a difficult work, a long road, but you can do it. I did that too. So again, you can put these goals to your BCBA, ABA, whatever, therapy, speech, OT, and have them plan that develop. So how would they teach? Because any BCBA, a good one, they would know how to teach every one of those, okay? So I hope I talk to you soon. I'm very, very tired. Please forgive me. And all these flies is just so annoying. Got a fruit here that I need to throw away. I'm sorry. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. Talk to you soon.